What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out Hunt, Shoot, Live. Got another flashlight review for you guys today. I had previously tested a Cyansky infrared flashlight. I'll include a link to that on this video. That was a really good flashlight to use with my night vision. It had excellent performance. I was really pleased with how bright it was. So Cyansky sent me two other flashlights. They sent me their H3 and their H5 series. Both of these are LED red, white, and green hunting flashlights. Now, I've done a lot of reviews on those specific type of flashlights, and several different brands, several different companies, and then I did a big review testing 5 or 6 different top branded red hunting lights. So I'll also include a link to that so you guys can check that out. So I've got a lot of experience and even personally just hunting at night a whole lot for coyotes and foxes, bobcats and stuff. So I do that a whole lot. Got a lot of experience with red lights. So I was excited to get these two on hand, especially after how pleased I was with the Cyansky infrared flashlight that I did. So let's dig in. And I'll give you guys the specs of these, and then I'll show you just a little bit actually in the field, and then I'll talk about my impressions from them. So first of all, the specs. So you can see this is the H3 that I have on this side, and this is the H5 that I've got here. Now they're extremely similar. They both advertise as having 1300 lumens. They both utilize the 21700 battery. This is a rechargeable battery that actually comes with it's got its own plug-in directly into the battery, and then that goes straight to the USB. So that's how those charge. It also runs off of the 18650s, so you can see the difference between the 21700 and the 18650. 21700 is quite a bit bigger. I'll talk about battery life here in just a minute. Some of the other specs, both of these share in common, 5,000 milliamp hours advertised output. And I may not be. I'm certainly not a genius on sharing the about voltage and output of flashlights. Just more of actual experience in field. But I thought that was interesting that they both have the same output, yet they do advertise that you get more distance. They have an advertised distance of 600 meters on the H5, and then an advertised max distance of 400 meters on the H3. And I assume that that really is just coming from the objective size of the end of each one of these. You see I have the H3 here, I have the H5 here. So the H5 has a much bigger objective lens, or however you would say that. The output end is much bigger, the reflective end is much bigger than on the H3. So I suppose that's what they indicate is giving you the more distance. Now, what I experienced in the field was just a little bit different, and again, we'll talk more about that in just a moment. Both of these operate in the same fashion. They have this little knob here turns to transition between red, white, and green. You just turn it to which setting, and it's I like that better than a push button change. It's definitely and it's also pretty tight, so I don't think it would be as easy to accidentally flip over like I had trouble with another flashlight that I reviewed. Still not a huge fan of that setup. I really prefer being able to unscrew it and put the different color LED in, but that still is it's tight, and I think it would be a little more difficult to accidentally flip that in a hunting situation. And I had happened with me with another flashlight. I was hunting with a red light and went to make an adjustment to the zoomable function on that flashlight and ended up flipping it to white right in the middle of trying to call a fox in, actually. The H3 and the H5, to change the intensity of them, you don't have a zoomable function with either one of these, but you can change the intensity on both of them to 4 different intensity settings by pushing this button right here. we'll cycle through those in just a minute. Both the H3 and the H5 have a Cree XHP35 high intensity LED bulb in them, so they're using the same LED. And like I said, they both have the 4 different intensities plus a strobe option. Each one of them has strobe. Now the H3 comes with a little smaller packaging. It's a smaller flashlight, but they come with the same things pretty much. You get this little belt holster for both of them. You get a lanyard, you get some extra O-rings for your battery cap, and they give you some extra rubber pieces for the on-off switch. And of course it comes with your instruction manual. Worthy of note, I guess, the H5 box is a little bit nicer of a box, a little bit more heavy duty than what the H3 is. This one's just kind of just a standard, really flimsy cardboard-like packaging. But don't know that matters. When I'm carrying them in the field, I'm not going to be having them in their box anyway. They're going to be in my my bag that I specifically use for night hunting. So let me show you some of the functions of these. We'll plop the 21700 into the H3. Now I did initially have some problems, and I had to email Cyansky. I was just getting inconsistent function in being able to turn these on, and I was having the same problem with both of them. Honestly was a little bit less than satisfied with their email back to me. Sort of felt like maybe I was an idiot, but I've had hundreds and hundreds of hours using flashlights at night in hunting situations, and this is the first time I've had a problem getting it to function when I plop the batteries in. Seems like the remedy to the situation was to pull the spring out a little bit, to stretch the spring and make sure that it had good connectivity. Once I did that, I have not had any problems getting them to function. Now this is with the 21700. Let me run through these. So of course right here I'm changing the color. Just twist that knob. You can cycle between white, red, and green. And to change the intensity, you're just pushing this button right here. I'm on low. That's the second setting. Third setting, and then the super high setting. Both of these flashlights have the same number of settings. And then here's strobe. You hold down the button to put it into strobe. Now it has a memory on it, so when you turn it off, it's going to remember what setting you had it on. So I had it on the high intensity setting. When I turn it back on, it's going to be on the high intensity setting. And then if I push it again, it just goes, if I push this again, it just goes right back to the low setting. So pretty simple function. And let me show you what the H5 looks like. Oh, well, of course, I forgot to mention each one of them does come with a 21700 battery and charging system. Same function, on switch on the back. Cycle between red, white, and green by turning this. And then you change your intensities by pushing this button here. Low, number 2, number 3, super high intensity, and I'll hold it for strobe. And same memory function. Now, it will take the 18650s. And I may, like I said, initially I couldn't get these to work at all, but then I did have to stretch out the spring on both of these, and that has helped. But where the 18650 is quite a bit smaller, you can hear that it rattles around in there. So stretching that spring was necessary to make sure that it was connecting good. Uh-oh. Well, it worked a little better earlier. Could probably stretch that string just a little bit more and see if it would make better contact. It is absolutely screwed all the way down. Okay, so it's not wanting to run with the 18650. I did get it. It's inconsistent in its function with those 18650s. Okay, this one's working a little better, and maybe I may have the string stretched a little further on this H5. So with that said, I don't think I would be depending on the 18650s with these flashlights, just because of how loose they are. I don't know why I wouldn't just, if I'm going to use the Cyansky flashlights, I'm just going to use this 21700. Because the connectivity is, well, I had such problems in the H5 there. Let me show you that 21700 is working. Yeah. So, again, it's probably because I had the same thing happening with the H3, but when I stretched that spring out really well, I think that made the difference. But that's a little unfortunate that it's made for the bigger battery. Maybe you use 21700s in all your other stuff. I don't. In all of my other hunting kit, I use the 18650s, and my hunting partner also, in all of his kit, he uses the 18650s. So I would prefer to stay the same instead of having something that's I'm going to have a different battery size. So let me show you guys a little bit from the field at night, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about my final impressions of both of these. That is low. That is number 2. That is 3 of 4. And there's 4 of 4. With the white light, change it. There's your red. It's on the number 4 setting. You can see we lost a whole lot of distance there. Down there at the road is probably 75 yards, and we don't have much of anything. This is on number 4 setting as well. Turn it back on the white, and we've got just a little bit more down to the road. Building there is probably about 50 yards. Try the green. It's on number 4. Down at the road. Not so much. Back to the building. 50 yards. There's low. Number 2, number 3, number 4. Oh, whoops, I'm sorry. Low, 2, 3, low. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the camera. You can't even tell. On low, you can't even tell that it's on. So here's low. That is 2, 3, 4. There we go. Alright, so that's the H5. I'll put it back on white, since white was the best. Definitely illuminated the biggest. Let's try the H3 now. There's the H3 on low. Number 2, number 3, and number 4. Performs really about the same. There's the road, 75 yards, down to 100-ish maybe. Switch to red. Still on number 4. And, you know, again, gets really hard. There's down at the road about 75 yards. You're not going to do very well at identifying an animal. And I'll give you green. There's green. 50 yards, 75 yards. And then back to white. Okay. Well, for comparison purposes, I've got a El Cheapo hunting light right here that I wanted to compare it with. This isn't a super cheap, good hunting light that I have reviewed. This is at 50 yards, back down here at 75 yards. Let me hold it side by side with the H5. So I have my El Cheapo on the right side. I've got the H5 on its most powerful setting on the left. That's the H5. So as you can see, it's not even as good as this cheaper flashlight that I've done another review on. And that's all it's got. Final impressions of the Cyansky H3 and the Cyansky H5 based on everything. So I'll talk about field performance first. If the majority of your hunting scenarios are going to be 100 yards or within, 150 meters or in, you're not going to have a problem with either one of these. So if that's your setup, then these got a lot of different functions, and if the 21700 battery thing doesn't bother you, then then maybe either one of these would work well. The field of view may be a little bit bigger with this H5, but I didn't feel that the effective distance was any different than what the H3 is. I definitely have multiple flashlights that have way better distance capabilities than both of these flashlights. And I do hunt in situations where it is necessary to begin to try to identify your game at 300 yards or more. And we are certainly able to take those shots with the other flashlights that we have. Definitely a 200-yard shot and positively identifying the animal is no problem with some of my other flashlights. If I only had the H3 and the H5 with me, that would not be the case. I would be limited to more like 150 meters or 100 yards and within. The battery life of those 21700s is advertised on max mode as lasting about 3 hours. I can't say that I hunted for 3 hours with these, but unfortunately we did hunt for about an hour and a half, and the battery went dead on me. Maybe I didn't have it charged enough. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. I don't know, but like I said, that really doesn't matter to me. You can an hour and a half with one battery, and that's on high intensity the whole time. They advertise with low intensity it's going to last for like 60 hours, but I'm using high intensity and only getting out to about 150 yards to positively identify game. Now, I will say this, you're going to catch eye shine with these at further distances, probably 200 yards or so. You will catch eye shine, but you will not positively identify the animal past 150 yards. It's going to be pushing it more like 100 yards, I would say. So that's with either one of these, H3 or H5. But, for battery life, maybe-ish close to the 18650s, but all of my other kit, I have 18650s. I have a bunch of those batteries. They absolutely last for 2+ hours on high intensity. So I didn't care for that. I don't like the fact that these don't function great with those the 18650. And again, I've got that 18650 in this. I tried to stretch the thing again, and it's just not. It don't want to work with the 18650. But the H3 did want to, so didn't care for that factor. As far as having the ability to cycle through the intensities, that's great. Up front it sounds good to have 4 different intensity settings, but with considering that your max distance to positively identify a game is about 100 to 150 yards on high setting, the night that I did use, and I used the H5 that night, I never took it off of high because I needed to be able to see as best as I could. I was trying to use this as my scanning light, and I just I wasn't pleased with the distance that you get out of those. So my final impressions are going to be, for me, I will not use either one of these flashlights. They don't I have way better flashlights that are way cheaper and that run off of 18650s. Now, if you don't, maybe you're a new buyer to a night hunting flashlight, so it doesn't matter what all of your other kit is, then maybe the 21700s won't bother you to use them, and you can just buy all of your kit with a bunch of extra 21700 batteries. And if that distance is not a problem, if you're only hunting within 100 yards or 150 yards or so, then no worries, no worries. Now, I will say this: if you're just looking for a white flashlight that to keep in the truck that's going to be way better than a mag light or something that you'd buy at Walmart, certainly either one of these are going to be way better than any of the flashlights that you could buy at Walmart. So, for a white hunting light, or excuse me, for a white light, just an extra hunting light to keep in your backpack, something like that, absolutely no worries there. A red light to walk in the morning when you're going on a hunt, that H3 might be a good option for that. But I'll have to pass on it, and I'm sorry, Cyansky, that's my personal opinion, but they just don't function. Neither one of these function anywhere close enough to any of the other flashlights that I have to cause me to want to replace them with these. And that's even some cheaper flashlights than what these are. So you guys can check out many of my other videos if you're curious about which ones those are. But they do seem to be made well. It doesn't seem like it seems like quality materials, and when I did have to email them, they emailed me back very quickly with a lot of opinion and a link in an attempt to help me to get these functioning better. So they seem to be responsive and things. So I guess it depends on what your use is, what your plan for using these are. But now check out that infrared flashlight that I did a review on. Totally different story with it. It was a very powerful, excellent infrared flashlight, and I will use it when I'm using my night vision kit. So there you have it. Appreciate you guys for checking out Hunt, Shoot, Live. Be sure to check out all of my other videos. Got a ton of other videos, gun reviews, hunting videos, different things like that. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to have you as a part of the Hunt, Shoot, Live team. As always, God bless you. We'll see you next time.